What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to an episode of Russo's Rant. I decided to do this series where I just rant about stuff that normally I see in the Instagram DM box that annoys me, but, anything about bodybuilding and fitness in general. So, I get a lot of messages on Instagram at Russo Lifts about people's personal lab rat cycles. Tons of PD questions, nutrition questions, training questions, and I've probably answered a couple thousand people over the past 2 years about those certain issues, and I'm seeing a trend when it comes to people asking about first cycles. I don't know where this comes from, but I'm going to title this rant Less is More. So there's two types of, first cycles I normally get asked to evaluate, essentially. The one that has a ton of stuff, more than I've ever cycled, and this is someone in their first cycle who doesn't really have that much lean body mass, most likely to begin with. And then there's the other approach, the approach I personally went with, and I personally think less is more, using the least amount of PDs to get the most results. That way, as you progress, you don't, run out or have to take insane dosages, which yields a lot more side effects than just creeping up and building your way up. So my lab rat personally started with MK2866, and then I really did experiment with all the different SARMs on my rat, just to document them in video format, because no one back then did that, and everyone was wondering, the dosages, the side effects, the blood work, and I really played around with each individual one. I won't really call them cycles, call them more experiments, but I still did build my way up. So I had a couple of SARM only cycles with my lab rat, and then I added in a base of test. Tried some oral gear to see how oral gear compared to SARMs, and then I moved my way from there. And then next cycle I added test in another compound, which was MPP, and I had my AI, I had my caber, I had everything all laid out, all planned out, and all the side effects accounted for with the ancillaries if need be. I had prolactin issues on MPP at the higher dosages when I was experimenting. So if I didn't have that caber there, then that would have been bad for my libido. So that is, the way I like to go about. So that is the way I don't think shotgun blasting it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I like that saying, but at the same time, if anyone's actually ran a marathon or ran a long distance race, you're kind of like running like as fast as you can, so you can maintain that speed over the course of the race. It's not like this, you gotta work your way up. No, you're racing hard the entire time, but you are being smart and calculated with your pacing in a marathon. But you're still going hard, but you're being smart and calculated versus just sprinting all out. And sprinting all out is what I kind of see a lot of people do, which is kind of crazy. People have messaged me with their first cycles that blow away anything I've ever documented. Any of my cycles, they look like, tiny compared to some of these cycles. And I don't know where, this idea comes from, but I just wanted to rant a little bit. You can only put on muscle so fast. So if I went and somehow magically figured out Big Ramy cycle or one of these massive IFBB Pro cycles, and I accumulated all this money and went to a country where it's completely legal pharma and got it all theoretically and ran it, would I look like Big Ramy after the cycle? No, because the genetic factor, the myostatin factor, but most importantly, he's been cycling for a while and has extreme genetics. So copying the cycle of your big juiced up friend, or copying, the cycle of, your favorite pro bodybuilder, or hiring a coach that says he can turn you into a pro bodybuilder as fast as possible. But number one, that is not good for your health. Adding a ton of weight onto your frame is very hard on the heart. It's very important, in my opinion, to gain or lose weight slowly. Rapid weight changes are not a good thing, so gaining as much mass as possible is not always the best thing in these big bulking cycles. So keep that in mind. The next thing is where are you going to go next when you start at these monster dosages and these these triple, quadruple compound cycles? What's next? I mean, not to offend anyone, but most of the people who I get messaged who are, about to go about this massive cycle that, dwarfs all my cycles combined, essentially, they don't look anything impressive. I'm not saying I'm impressive, but, they're significantly not on the same level as my lean muscle mass. And I'm 5'11", 220, decently lean with veins. So, in my opinion, they could probably get the same results with much less and a much safer dosages, with much less gear, and it would be a lot less impact on their health. So keep that in mind. Less is more. Do not be fooled into thinking you can explode overnight. Now, your first cycle, you're gonna get a lot of results. It's like your noob gains all over again. Then after that, it's kind of like you gotta progress slowly again, just enhanced. Now, it's obviously faster than being natural because you unlock that genetic cap that you can now exceed. But, it's not like, wow, I can become like an IFBB pro so fast. Or I can, unless you're a genetic gift of God, that's probably not gonna happen. I'm just being honest. So, less is more. That is my rant. So, when I see these cycles, I normally try and advise, splitting the cycle, which I would do if you had a friend who thought that he should take everything under the sun his first cycle. Not only do most of these people not have the ancillary setups on hand, or a heavy duty PCT for some of these ultra suppressive compounds like trend first cycle, probably wouldn't want to do that. Not to mention that trend is absolutely terrible for you, but just based on the need for CABR and possible need for HCG PCT, which they probably don't have, then that creates more issues and more side effects. Less is more. So hopefully you guys got something out of that, and I plan on doing more of these Russo rants in the future. I'll see you in my next one.